Welcome to Satori School, and this is where you say welcome to?
My life. Savory Ciruelo
Yeah.
in El Ciruelo, Panama, the coffee shop.
So, I want to give everybody context. We've never really hung out and had a conversation, but we've seen each other in passing for maybe 2 or 3 years now. 3 years I've been in Vinal.
At least.
And I want to tell you what I'm super excited about, because I have a list to talk to you about.
Cool.
There's a few things. One, jiu-jitsu. You're a black belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super cool. Super excited to talk about how that relates to life itself. And two, I believe it was you who told me that you had a breathwork experience with Sarah Lee that was the equivalent of an ayahuasca ceremony. Was that you?
Yeah. Since we've talked, I've had a second one. So one of my intentions, and I feel like one of the purposes, is kind of spreading that experience, like in a way that people can kind of hear and maybe resonate with. But yeah, I was lucky enough to have 2 of those experiences with Sarah Lee that have been just monumental and life-changing. Yeah.
Wow. So those 2 things are what I'm wildly excited to touch on. I want to give a little bit of context. We're in the middle of your outdoor area here on your beautiful land. So if people hear cars driving by, if the lighting's a bit off, if there's a little bit of wind, we're in the elements.
Yeah, some motorcycles might come by. This is like the number one people watching spot to just kind of hang out and see the world go by. Do that a lot in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been really nice. This is how life is, just settling into being on our land, being in our spot, serving people. And yeah, feels good.
So tell me about the breath work, dude. First of all, what is breath work? Because I think it's still somewhat new for many people. And why is it so powerful? And then talk about your experience with...
Yeah. Well, breath work for me was something that I first got into through jiu-jitsu, actually. A friend and mentor of mine and a black belt, Jeff Suskin, had a performance breathing class that he would do kind of, not periodically, but just kind of sometimes before and after training, that involved different rhythms and timing of breath work combined with intentions, the setting, certain moods and lighting. And it was amazing, at the flow state feeling after breath work or the recovery after a hard training was just felt like a superpower. So for me, and now another mentor I have and breathwork instructor, Chuck McGee III, he says, it is not a superpower, it is your power, and it is accessible at any time within your breath, within yourself. So it's been a big tool and a gateway for me to know myself on a lot of different deeper levels. And, I think now I use it almost because, sometimes when you do more deep breath work, like bigger breaths, you push yourself into a place that's a little bit more on a subconscious level. Mm-hmm. You might feel like you have to cry. And if you're not,
I've had that.
If you're not used to it, you might kind of resist that feeling to cry or not understand or start to think about why. But when you can kind of just let go and let some tears flow out, it feels like a beautiful release. It's just, I also compare it to like maybe if you want to get strong, you go to a gym, that the stress you put on your body builds muscles.
Yeah.
A lot of aspects of your emotions, your reactions to certain situations, like how do you refine that? How do you work on that? How do you build that muscle? Being conscious of what you're doing would be one, but also I think the breath work and the experiences that come with that and the vulnerability and being open to letting you feel all those feelings. If, again, like Chuck says, if you're in a breath work and you feel like you're going to fall, dive. If you feel like you're falling, dive. Go into that current and seeing where that takes you and what doors open up from there. And, just being okay with all of it. It can be really intense. Even at this past breathwork session, we had some folks that weren't really quite prepared for how it would make them feel. I probably could have done a better job of
prepping them.
Yeah, saying this can make you emotional throughout. You might not understand
okay if you cry.
It's okay, and it's okay if you just slow down and you just say, "Hey, I don't feel like jumping off a ledge right now. I'm just gonna slow down."
Yeah.
But breath work, you can call it Wim Hof, you can call it oxygen advantage. You can call it holotropic breathing. You know,
Yeah.
it's lots of different aspects that you can use your breath work. You know, with Sarah Lee in particular, she calls it as rebirthing.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, it's very, very similar to holotropic breathing.
Okay.
Just rebirthing is more done one-to-one, and holotropic is more done in a group. You know, like one half watch the other group do the breath work and guide them, and then they switch, something along these lines. I've never done a group holotropic breath work.
Okay.
My only experience has been with Sarah Lee, and the first time I did the experience with Sarah Lee, my wife and I, we had not even really considered having a kid yet. We were kind of just younger and single, and life was really good, felt really free. I was in a super comfortable place in my life. I was having a little bit of the feels like I'm in my mid-30s. You know, I used to do hallucinogenics when I was a kid and kind of like altered states of mind, but I did it in a very like recreational kind of just like, I don't want to say naive, but just more like playful sense.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see what that would look like in perspective with years and wisdom.
Whoa.
And yeah, and I didn't want to like go pick wild mushrooms. And I didn't really feel comfortable kind of going on a search for psychedelics. I didn't really know the people. I didn't feel like having a conversation. And I said, I'm going to try with Sarah Lee. You know, I've heard different people talk about breath work can kind of invoke a DMT-like experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and sat down with her, and she's an amazing human being that I feel very, very connected and comfortable with.
Oh, me too.
Just super safe, you know, and she was doing this in her house at the time in this little guest room, and it just felt very, very peaceful. Went over some very just kind of basic questions. Ah, it's the alcalde. Okay, cool. No worries. I'm gonna keep talking with Taylor, and I'll come and take a break in a little bit. Thank you, baby. It's the mayor of Los Santos.
Oh, no way.
Sorry.
Wait, which guy is the mayor of Los Santos?
The gentleman sitting down, he's the alcalde of Los Santos de la Villa. So
Oh.
the section of La Villa.
Cool.
He's a martial artist.
What?
Yeah, he's super stoked.
Dude, there's so many cool people coming here today.
It's
Holy
crazy.
shit.
This is like the day. Yeah, we saw each other last night at a festival in Chitre. We were doing a demonstration for jiu-jitsu last night.
Oh my God, cool.
Never knew he was going to pop in the coffee shop today. That's pretty awesome.
That's the cool part of having a coffee shop.
And Panama in general, the people you run into, and it's such a small world, like rubbing elbows with the mayor and talking jiu-jitsu at my coffee shop.
It's the best.
It just feels surreal. So often. It just feels so surreal.
Oh.
And
So DMT.
And Sarah Lee.
Rebirth. Yeah,
DMT
Sarah Lee.
and Sarah Lee. Well, I mean, the space is comfortable. Sarah Lee feels like a very safe person for me. And, you know, the conversation started with, like, what do you remember about your birth? You know, some questions that kind of invoke, like, what do I remember about my birth? And it kind of opens some pathways in the subconscious. Questions that maybe can't answer or never even thought of. But it kind of, like, starts to crack open a bit of a door, I think, before you go into the experience of breathing.
Okay.
So she did some very particular questions.
So this is a bit of a pre-framing going on prior to the breathwork session with her.
Yeah.
She's sort of guiding you through an introspective journey
Yeah.
before even starting.
It's not so much like sitting on a chair with a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
You know, it's very kind of questions like that. What do you remember about your birth? What feelings do you have when you think about being born?
Yeah.
What do you remember before your birth? You know, anything that, you know, maybe people haven't even put thought to or don't have an answer to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a pretext. It kind of opens that realm, I'd say. And, you know, also as a pretext for me, I had gone through some trauma as a child that I did not want to relive. You know, that was another thing that's kind of, for me, I was a bit worried about that if I'm going to go something into a deeper breath work, that I might get triggered into a past trauma. That maybe I don't need to dig up those skeletons. You know, I'm a healthy, I like to consider myself a healthy human being that's worked on himself. I've done a lot of work in that particular area of my life. You know, I've had a much easier childhood than many, many people, you know, but not everything's perfect for everybody. So I didn't want to go there in that session. So that was another space where I kind of had some hesitation on it. And, you know, she told me she's worked with people that have been through major traumatic events, wars, you know, battles, veterans. And, you know, I can't remember exactly her guidance in that moment, but it was, you know, basically your breath is your own. Your breath is your own. This is something that you're intentionally moving into.
Yeah.
And what I tell people now when we're doing breath work is if you go into cold exposure and the entire time you're just like, ¿Cómo estás? If you go into cold exposure and the whole time you're just like, fuck,
Yeah.
cortisol, adrenaline, all this terrible stuff just leaching into your body, and it's not good for you. It's not a good net gain. If you go into a cold plunge and you breathe, you let the stress response, you have faith in the stress response, your body's going to provide for that situation and you reap the benefits of it. So if you go into a breathwork session and it's going to be a powerful, deep, hard breathwork session and you're breathing through it and you're clenching your fists and pursing your lips and you're fighting, So when we start our session, it's on a floor, music is beautiful, lighting's beautiful, you deep breath work at a very quick pace. She sets kind of a rhythm in the background, that sounds like somebody breathing, and you just try and match that rhythm. So, and it took, I don't know, kind of, you lose sense of time after 20 minutes of that, as you can imagine. Your fingers tend to purse up because of lack of CO2 in your blood. Forget the scientific name for it, but once you purge enough CO2 out of your bloodstream, your muscles start to cramp, your toes and hands, your lips.
Yeah.
And it hurts, hurts. My body started hurting. I had a couple big releases, cries, just kind of wanted it all to be over. Sarah Lee's there kind of cheerleading you. You're so beautiful, mommy. You're doing such a good job. You're so brave. She's cheering you on, and you keep with this rhythm.
Wow.
And at a certain point, for me, it was about an hour and 10 minutes into this, I just popped. And I had a very lucid dream, where I wasn't conscious of me breathing. I don't know if I was breathing. I don't know if I was even there anymore. And I was in this kind of almost looked similar to this scene, but a valley and a field.
Wow.
All very, very gray, very wide open. And in the background was like rimmed with mountains. And behind the mountains was this impossibly huge kind of shadowy figure, like a straw man, just huge, massive figure. Like the mountains came up to its ankles. Like, it was very, very big. And it was kind of just marching slow motion towards me. And I was panicking.
Whoa.
Heart beating out of my chest, looking this valley, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Yeah, and out of nowhere, a voice that was not my own, that was not from my head, from outside my body said, "Nothing matters. None of this matters."
Oh.
And as soon as I heard those words, it clicked, and I started to inflate. My whole body started to grow. I was getting larger and larger until I was eye to eye with this thing.
Whoa.
And then I went beyond that. I was up past the clouds, and then I started to break through the atmosphere, and I was in space.
Whoa.
And once I started getting up into space, I tried to look down and perceive my body, because I was like, how is this possible? And when I tried to look at my body, I had a complete death experience, like huge adrenaline rush, like this is happening. And I felt like I went off a ledge, and like disintegration, like a splattering, like I don't know really the words for it, but I felt my body like dissolve into everything. And you really, as cliche as it sounds, just felt like it was soaked up by everything around me, like it just a flowing feeling into just released into everything, and I believe on some level, like I just kind of went to a different place and experienced the death. I felt that's for me kind of what it took out of that was like a little peek behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
And I started belly laughing. When I kind of came back, I was just crying and laughing and crying and laughing. And I thought somebody was holding my hands and rubbing my hands. And I looked up, and Sarah Lee was next to me, not touching me. I was just kind of imagining my hands being rubbed. And she told me, "Hey, you're going to have to breathe a little more." I was like, "Oh, please, no more." I started crying. I was like, "No more breathing." And it was just nice, slow, kind of let down breathing to help the hands uncramp and stuff like that. But that was the first experience, and I just rode this high. Like I came out of the room, and her daughter was there, Roya.
Yeah. And
I almost cried when I saw her. I was like, "You're so beautiful. You are such an amazing little soul." And I walked out of her house, and I saw the ocean, and I just like lost my breath. I was like, "Oh my God." And it was this beautiful buzz of just euphoria and fascination with life, and everything just had such beautiful meaning to it. I think in a sense because I just, died. I just felt death,
Yeah.
and I pushed myself in this crazy breathing pattern to a point where my body and my mind and my spirit kind of showed me something that I needed to see, And ever since that breath work, I'm able to cry during my own breath works. So much easier.
Oh.
Before that, I never really would have, tearful moments when I was doing my standard breath works. But ever since then, it's like a line in the sand.
Wow.
I can have I'm way more open to the range of the spectrum of emotions and being okay with it and letting that flow out. Ever since that one rebirthing session. And then that was 5 years ago.
Oh.
And it hasn't worn off. I almost cried just now talking about it.
I saw, I was tearing up too.
Yeah, so it's
the potency.
And it wasn't always like that, and strong psychedelic experiences can, one dose and, you can really change your mind,
Yeah, it really cracks you wide open.
Yeah.
In the best way possible. And I think that there's a lot of fear. I certainly had a lot of fear going into psychedelics for the first time. It sort of started here in Vinal. And I think the fear going into it was, well, I love who I am and what I am right now and where I'm headed to. And I'm afraid that if I do that, the trajectory and the vector is going to change wildly.
Yeah.
And it's the control aspect that prevents you from really opening up to the beauties and the depths of life, I feel so strongly.
Yes, and whether it's through breath work or, a medicine, and you go into that psychedelic experience, if you try and go into it with any level of control, how's that going to work out for you? It's like your subconscious is not one thing to be controlled. That's an aspect of you that doesn't live in the front of your brain. That's deep, down in the stem of our brain where our instincts lie. And that's not something to be controlled. That's something to just observe, and be part of and be friends with, and understand that aspect of yourself. And I think people that shut that experience out, that's okay too. People that are not open to life-changing, because it could lead to a divorce. It could lead to quitting my job. It could lead to,
moving countries.
This is what's going to happen.
And then your parents think you're crazy. they want to send you to an insane asylum.
I can imagine how anybody like that.
Yeah, there's so much fear around what psychedelics can do to somebody. And it's funny that breathwork can have a similar effect. And you don't need to take any substances. You could just breathe and drop into your soul and have the same level of experience. And I think it's so beautiful that breathwork is becoming more and more recognized for the power that it holds, because it's sort of a hallway pass for those who are maybe too afraid to go near a mushroom or a drop of acid.
Of course.
Because they've been told that I was told when I was a kid that a drop of acid is like an ice cream scoop out of your brain. So I was like scared shitless.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, well, I can't go near that. I'm going to be retarded if I do it. That was just my genuine fear. Terrible programming that was sent out to so much of mankind for many reasons. But it's powerful to hear how breathwork is a gateway. Yeah,
and it's, it doesn't have to be the conversation about psychedelics and breath work. It's not like we're all ingesting psychedelics all the time.
No.
Right? And it's not like I'm hyperventilating constantly.
No.
But that one experience, being willing to kind of step into that realm, look at what that aspect is. On one side, leaving another country, craziness, be put in a insane asylum. But the other thing, your purpose, like when I saw this podcast, man, the thing that hit me in the chest was authenticity. This guy, this man is authentic. He's speaking his truth, and he's trying to share a purpose with others. And more than anything, I wanted you to know that I really respect and love that. And I'm in here with it. I'm with you, brother. That. Like, and me talking about any of the experiences that I've had is not to encourage anybody to do psychedelics or do anything they're uncomfortable with. But it is a call for people to live more purposeful lives, conscious, purposeful lives. You know, for me, my purpose is to help others improve their life through martial arts and jiu-jitsu, right? So I feel like martial arts, jiu-jitsu, what it's given me is that tool, you know, to be a positive motor in your life, you know, to help you make the right decisions. You know, before jiu-jitsu, my friend set was like, where are we going out this weekend? You know, what the fuck?
What bar?
Yeah, who got the most drunk last weekend?
Did
whatever.
you get laid?
Just so, like, really just, if that's the way your entire existence
we all go through
all,
that.
yeah, but post jiu-jitsu, it was like, hey, are you coming to class tonight, or do you want to go run Red Rocks tomorrow, or let's try this diet together, or, you know, it was just
health and wellness.
And if I do well, they would really be excited for me and share that joy with me. And it's just that community, you know, that was given to me, you know, and accepted me despite all the flaws and shit that I was as a person. You get in there and it's like, I wanted to perpetuate that. There's no way that I would ever be able to repay jiu-jitsu what jiu-jitsu has given to me. You know? There's just, so I'm out here on a microphone with you, just trying to put some vibration out there that resonates with somebody enough to take a step in the direction that is going to help their lives, whether that's going to be breath work, whether that's joining a jiu-jitsu academy, whether that's getting out there and being a little vulnerable and speaking your own truth and trying to inspire somebody else. So when I wanted to make sure I told you that when I saw your thing, I really respect what you're doing, and I appreciate it. I'm grateful to be here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, brother.
It's so special when you reached out to me on Instagram. You're like, I would love to do this.
Yeah, man.
It was such a moment of, I would love to do one with you too.
Yeah.
Because holy shit, I've felt you so strongly, and you've given me previews to the movie of your life enough to where I was wildly excited to tune into the movie, talking about breathwork and your experiences and all of that. Do you think wifey needs help in the shop?
Maybe. Can I cut out for 2 seconds?
Go see if she needs help in the shop. We're running a coffee shop while a podcast is happening. Yeah, no worries, dude.
It's like you get used to the soothing sound in here. It's like you never want to leave.
It's a spaceship.
So nice.
So many people, when they hear their voice for the first time in this way, it just, their heart sort of blasts open a little bit. I feel it. They're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
I've never heard my voice.
Yeah. Well, I've always been the one that I really don't like the way I sound.
I had that for a long time. I still have remnants of it, especially when I lead like a meditation, you know, and it's supposed to be a really soothing, soft voice. And sometimes I'll get in my head about it. I'm like, does this sound weird?
Yeah.
You know, you get into your like ego a little bit and you're like, fuck.
You can't do that.
No, you can't. Then you gotta opt out. Yeah. You gotta quickly just let go of it. But dude, I wanted to come back to where we left off. There's a few things you said. One, I'm really grateful for your recognition of me just showing up and authentically sharing my truth with the world, where I am and with who I'm around. It's really special. It takes an angel to see an angel, and it's beautiful that you recognize it because you recognize it within yourself. And you said a few things. You said jiu-jitsu and breathwork. I don't know if you also mentioned yoga. I think it was mainly jiu-jitsu and breathwork, and how that has been a gateway to becoming a better person in your life. You couldn't repay what jiu-jitsu has paid you. I love that. I think that's wildly special. And I was just having this conversation with Claudia the other day. It's so interesting to me how we go on this journey of life, sort of an NPC to begin with, where we're in a reactionary, animalistic state. It's very primal. Going to the bar, women like are sort of objects at a lower level of consciousness as a male in the human body. And you're sort of just like primally going through, and you don't really have much of awareness or open-heartedness to how connected we all are. And it's so interesting that and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, as we increase our consciousness, aka our connectivity to all of life, we live a more purposeful life. And it's not necessarily like the human experience changes. You're still showing up and rolling on the mats and doing jujitsu. You're still hanging out with friends. You're still drinking a coffee, cooking eggs and bacon in the morning. You got to go to sleep at a good time. It's the same stuff, but there's a shift in your awareness that allows you to see all of this same stuff in a so beautiful, shiny, loving, pure way. And that was the shift in awareness that happened for me before Satori school happened, where I was just fully in business and I was sort of profit oriented, going after making more money and securing more financial freedom without a sense of higher purpose or connectivity to God. But then it happened, and it was like my first psychedelic experience that I'd ever had at that point in life. And it showed me something so beautiful. It sort of took me to a higher level of consciousness. I tell people, like, it was like I took an elevator. And the first experience that I'm speaking of specifically was MDMA. And it was like I took an elevator up, and I all of a sudden realized, well, this is a natural state of consciousness. Yes, it's sort of falsely induced through a substance, but what I'm experiencing is naturally able to be experienced in a sober setting. And I had that awareness and that knowingness that, oh, wow, this is okay. This is possible. And this is how far I am from that. So I took this elevator up, and immediately it was just God all around me. I was just seeing the oneness in everything and all beings, and I was seeing through all the judgments and distortions in my lens that I was holding. It was all just shattered, and I just looked at beings that I'd looked at before and held judgments for and saw them with so much love. And while I'm looking at them, seeing pure love, I'm having this ridiculous witness of the experience, thinking, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
What was I before? And it gives me chills to just think about that. But then you come out of the experience, you're sober again, but you're never the same. And that was what it was for me. Is it was that moment I never had social anxiety again.
Yeah.
I never felt the weird judgments that I had on other people again, because
Right.
it was a realization that it was just judgments within myself. And so I love all the gateways that allow us to expand our awareness and live a more purposeful life.
Well, and what you just touched on at the end, there's two things that I think about when you're telling me about your experiences. Like that elevator up is almost like you've heard stories of like when astronauts go into space and they look back on Earth, they have this very powerful, visceral feeling of connectedness.
Whoa.
Yeah, like seeing that small blue dot, when they turned the Hubble telescope around, they took a picture of Earth, just as this little blue dot floating in all this nothingness, meant to create a perspective and maybe, when you go into these psychedelic experiences and you get that higher elevated perspective, right, you're able to see the oneness a little bit easier.
Yeah, see the dot.
Exactly. Within yourself, and then within all the other folks around you, all the other beings that you're in contact with at that moment, or, sometimes, within yourself, like you said, it's all naturally occurring, right? And the second rebirth has a lot to do with what you're saying here, because it was at a time in my life where things weren't so good. I'm lucky enough. I'm the only brother that's kind of gotten through, not with some, what I'd like to say, lasting scars. I have one brother that's in recovery for 2 years from drugs and alcohol. I have another brother that's, he's had some rough goes. He's, medicated on SSRIs and all.
Ooh.
It's okay. Everybody's doing good now. It's solid, as solid can be moment to moment, but those are scars, those are some battle wounds from life experiences. And when I was in a bit of a depression last year, I had a hellacious year. My mom had a stroke the end of the year before. She's okay, but it was like this freak medical thing.
Yeah.
I lost an uncle that was very, very close to me out of nowhere. I had my car caught on fire, ran a lighter that was in there, left in there. It got too hot, something happened, and my car freakishly lit on fire.
Whoa.
And I was having, some personal issues within the household that were, when you have friction within your family, within your nest, it can make it hard to get up out of the bed in the mornings. It can make it hard to do anything.
Yeah,
let
for
alone
sure.
let alone even think about or see your purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was after some time, you know, I wish I would have done it earlier, but I went back to Sarah Lee and I did this session from a space where I was not doing so well, you know, and it started very much the same, except it was a little bit more on the couch this time, you know,
Okay.
therapy wise.
Okay.
She knows me for years at this point. So she's a very good friend and a confidant. And I feel comfortable talking to her about personal things. And when we went into the session, maybe 20, 30 minutes into the breathing, I grabbed the pillow and I started screaming into it, anger. Fuck this, fuck you. I fucking hate this shit. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who I was saying it to. I was just fucking screaming until my lungs burned, my throat burned. I was clenching my fist. It was just this fucking rage.
Yeah.
Rage. You know, white hot, crazy rage. And, you know, Sarah Lee's there cheerleading. She's like, that was so good. You're so brave. Keep going.
She's the best.
She was like, but slow yourself, mommy, slow yourself. And I was like, you know, I said, fuck that. I said, I want to see where this came from. What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Why? Where is that anger? That was insane anger that just boiled up out of me.
Pause. No, it's okay.
Do I have a butterfly on me?
No. I think it just jumped off.
The wire?
No, it was a little
My hair?
spider.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not a big Amazonian one
No.
like you saw?
I want to make sure it jumped off you though. Woo, got it.
Did that just happen?
That just happened. I didn't want to tell you.
Oh,
but-
it's okay. Amazing.
Holy stuff.
Thank you. I feel like we would have been friends at the end, but
That thing was as green as a leaf.
okay, shit.
It's all right. I
Nice.
got you. If you see
Thank
one,
you,
you
bro.
just
No,
come get
I'm
me.
gonna do a little check right now. You're good. You're good.
Okay, so you
No
said you wanted to
bugs.
see where this came from.
Yeah, flipping out, angry. I don't know why it happened. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I had a lot of shit in my life going on,
Right.
but it felt like it was much, much deeper anger than that. And I wanted to see where it came from, so I kept breathing as hard as I could, and again, kind of felt like I lost where I was in time, and it felt like I was just in front of this big, massive cave, right? And I'm screaming into the cave, like, get out here, show your face, come on, show me the anger again. I want to see it again. And I'm screaming, I'm, you know, egging it on, trying to get it out. And what walks out of the cave is little 6-year-old me.
Whoa.
And he's like, please stop yelling at me, just please. Okay, I'm sorry, I won't do it. And it was like this scared child, 6-year-old John. And I felt so stupid for yelling at a child like that. Like I
Oh.
would never yell at a kid in the way that I was yelling into that cave.
Wow.
And I was able to kind of just feel a hug to my 6-year-old self, and we laughed like friends, like best friends that had been fighting for 30 years.
Wow.
And then they see each other and make up. It just felt like this beautiful union. And you know, since that experience, my second rebirth, it's felt like I understand that my feelings are my own.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
despite all external influence
Yeah.
and how that makes me feel, they are of my own creation. Nobody like injected a feeling into
Yeah.
my body. You know,
Right.
that much like psychedelic experiences, right? That comes from your mind, from your soul, from who you are. And it puts you in the driver's seat. You know, it puts you in the driver's seat as the pilot, not the passenger.
Yeah.
And then breath work can tie into that as recognizing that your feelings are your own. You know, you're within this, you know, you don't want to put it in a control perspective,
No. Yeah.
but at least it's a perspective of understanding what's going on, you know,
Yeah.
and not just reacting. You know, I have some family members that get like highly, you know, flustered over politics, you know,
Right.
and it's just a
Yeah, yeah.
trigger.
Oh yeah, I got that too.
And then there's nothing that happens after that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean, there's
Yeah.
no talking. It's just reaction after reaction after reaction
Yeah.
after emotion after emotion after emotion.
Yeah.
And who gives a shit what side you're on or what you're fighting about? Is like you've just totally shut yourself down and just
Yeah.
became this like reactive thing,
Yeah.
you know, which is kind of the opposite of, I feel like what you and the school is trying to promote is like the conscious aspect of living. you know,
Yeah.
the awareness of reactive feelings and emotions, you
Mhm.
know, and maybe a lot of my personal issues came from the fact that 6-year-old John, you know, had to deal with a divorced household and
Yeah.
had to deal with abandonment issues
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know, other things of feeling unworthy at a small age and not understanding that. So maybe I'm just upset with that little boy that got put in a place that didn't know how to deal with those circumstances. I'm not mad
Mm.
at you and whatever feelings are of your own creation.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that I have the tools to deal with because it's my body, soul, my spirit, my emotions, my reactions. And I feel the gym work in recognizing that is the breath work, the occasional psychedelic experience with intentions,
Yeah.
you know, being conscious and aware and seeking to improve yourself in that aspect. And jujitsu does that as well. You know, critical
Yeah.
thinking under duress. That's what
Wow.
jujitsu is.
Mhm.
You know, that I say it all the time is like somebody's holding you down and smothering your face, and you can be as upset and emotional as you want about it. Does nothing for you.
Yeah.
Does nothing for you.
Does nothing.
My professor says emotions don't win fights. Actions win fights.
Oh.
Actions win fights, not emotions. You can be the
Yeah.
most emotional person in the room and reactive, emotional, angry, alpha, whatever you want to call it. But if you don't have the correct set of actions, right, to achieve what you want to achieve, whether it's jujitsu, you're trying to achieve a dominant position and win. In life, it's trying to achieve happiness,
Yeah.
you know? But you need actionable steps to get there. If you're just emotional about getting happy, you're not
Right.
doing the right fight. You're just being emotional. You know, you need to make actionable steps in order to achieve your goal. And if that's happiness, it's breath work, it's introspection, it's conversations with people that you trust and can be
Community.
verbal, community. You know, you have to go to the gym. That's the gym for your
Yeah.
emotional happiness and state of being.
Yeah, I feel I resonate with all of that, and it's been really interesting. I started working out in the gym, lifting weights. Again, I was sort of in that phase for a period of time in my life a couple of years ago, or no, 3 or 4 years ago, and I've come back to it, and it's guided me and helped me in so many ways. It's really grounded me, and also just lifting weights in general. Typically, after a workout, you feel strong, you feel good, you feel self-confident. There's so many benefits. There's a rush of dopamine and oxytocin and all of that. It's just like, wow. And then you sleep better. You sleep better, so you wake up, you feel better. These practices, going to the gym has sort of been a foundation for me in the last 3 to 4 months because there's been so much change happening in my life. We were just doing pet sits all over America for 6 months, looking for a potential second property to purchase to one day raise a family in. And that was just such a journey of chaos that I did not see coming. And it was 4 months in where I was going through an absolute dark night of the soul, just hating every aspect of life, that I joined the gym again, and it saved my life. And it was just a foundation that brought me back into that state of being where I feel more centered. And then all of a sudden I'm doing saunas, and I'm in the ice bath, and I'm doing red light. These practices and modalities that were once in my life when I was thriving and in a state of joy and compassion and love for life, that somehow magically just like fizzled away. And then they came back, and like, wow, I'm feeling great again. Like,
It's a weird thing that we tend to fall towards the side of self-destruction,
yeah,
you know? Something me personally and like in my mental health that I struggle with is I have a lot of people, because of what I do in the community, John, what you do for the community and the kids, the kids, and you're such an amazing coach and you've helped my family like this. And, I, for some reason, maybe it's because I get so many pats on the back, I don't always like myself so much. I don't think I'm so great when, for whatever reason that may be, just me being devil's advocate.
yeah,
But it kind of like almost gets to the point where you don't want to hear or accept things because you don't feel that way about yourself, and that's self-destructive. You should just accept beautiful things and be open-hearted to it. But maybe it's something we're supposed to have to keep ourselves balanced.
yeah,
But I don't know. I feel you there. We know the things that make our bodies feel good, the modalities, the working out. But why do we choose ice cream and Netflix some night? You know what I mean? Why do we choose? Why don't we choose that easy, quick fix and sleep when we know it's not the easy, quick fix?
Yeah. What do you feel? I mean, you said jujitsu was a really big bridge for you to shift out of that more reactionary, animalistic state of the human experience into a more conscious, purpose-led way. What has that been the primary gateway for you? And is there any other major influential aspects? I know we covered jujitsu, we covered breathwork. Is there anything else in your life that helped you bridge?
Yeah, for sure. My mom is a chaplain Zen Buddhist, and yeah, my mom's a chaplain.
That'll help.
Yeah. Well, it was later in life. My mom's a wild lady. She's had many jobs. She's had years off. She's written books. Excuse me, I guess. My mom's a wild woman. Phyllis Coletta.
Okay.
Yeah, you can look her up. She's got published stuff online.
Cool.
Yeah, you'd love her.
I know I would.
Philly girl, doesn't deal with bullshit. She goes right to the point, and she's a Zen Buddhist, and she works in hospice now. She's one of the only Buddhist chaplains in kind of terminally ill patients, and the whole home and family situation that they have to navigate passing through that part of the life journey. So she's there. That's her thing now. She's her passion. And having my mom be who she is, and then also being raised Irish Catholic from my father. I went to Sunday school. I was confirmed. He was pretty strict on making sure that we go to mass every Sunday.
Okay.
But it wasn't from a loving space that we got a lot of that.
For sure.
It was. It was just more ingrained. The Irish Catholic thing on the East Coast. And then on the weekday, they're divorced. So on the weekdays, I'm with my Zen Buddhist mom. On the weekends, I'm with my Irish Catholic dad. So that huge swing in dualities, really kind of, I guess when you do this with something a lot, it becomes very malleable.
Yeah.
So I've always taken an approach in life that I feel is malleable. And I was having a conversation with my friend Sebastian this morning about how do you find balance with trying to achieve your goals and structure in life. The exact part of the conversation was more within relationships, but it's like in jiu-jitsu, if I'm trying, my end goal is to submit you, right? But if I'm okay, I'm gonna grab your leg, trip you on the floor, grab your arm, get around the side, then I get mount. It's I just made a whole plan, not considering the fact that you're as tall as you are, with the strength you have, with the intelligence you have, and you might do a million different other things, right? So the thing that makes somebody really powerful in jiu-jitsu is the ability to be open to all possibilities while still maintaining that last focal point goal, which is submitting you, right? Is to get you. Right. So in life, that goal of happiness, of, relationships, financial freedom, living your purpose.
Yeah.
I feel the more we try and plan into that goal, the less we achieve it.
I fully agree.
I think if we can just focus on the purpose and the vision, let that pour out of your heart, and then just be open to everything, like showing up here with your fucking podcast. Hey, I'll be over for a late coffee, and here you come with 3 cameras and a whole setup.
I was I hope he says yes.
Oh man, awesome! I'm here for it. I don't want to stay too much longer because I have to close the coffee shop with my wife.
Yeah.
But more than anything, and honest to God, if this never goes out into the world, I don't care. I really want to tell you as a human being, from not even knowing you, I see you. I see what you're doing. I'm very happy that you had me here too, and that's it, man. More than anything, I just wanted to help in any way I could, contribute to somebody we're on the same team. I think you can tell, right?
Yeah, we're on the same team.
We're on the same team, dude.
And I'm going to be in your gym soon.
Yeah,
too,
maybe
rolling.
you start jiu-jitsu. Maybe we can do part 2 after jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and as I said, remember, jujitsu, gentle art, especially in the culture in my gym, there's no tough guys. Nobody's, I'm not the somebody that you can steamroll, right? I'm not a very big person, but I'm a okay black belt.
Yeah.
Nobody can really beat me up in the gym, yeah?
Yeah.
But you don't have to be a violent person.
No.
One of the things I love about getting into jiu-jitsu and getting to know how to do combat more is that I feel like I'm more of a peaceful person now that I have the capabilities.
You're a peaceful warrior.
Yeah, well, if you're not capable, you're almost kind of more harmless than pacifist.
For
right?
sure.
You're not capable. Like I know that I can wrestle, I can defend myself, I can do all these fun things with my body that took, almost 2 decades to develop. But then, getting in a situation where it's reactive and anger and being able to use that same, violence training
Yeah.
for control and perspective, and always knowing that the last option is ever physical violence.
Mm-hmm.
The more you understand
the final card,
the more you understand violence, the more you understand that is the last fucking thing that should ever happen.
Yeah, because it's hell.
It's hell, man. It's the worst thing. I've been in the room with some really tough people, and nobody's out with bad intentions, but it's hard to train jiu-jitsu in a competitive sense. Even in a non-competitive sense.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a little bumped and bruised because you're wrestling, and it's okay. It's like you can't surf without getting wet. Doesn't mean that you're gonna drown every time you surf.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like in jiu-jitsu, doesn't mean you're gonna break your arm every time you get on the mat. But you're gonna feel your body. You're gonna feel your body. You're engaging in like this ancient wrestling thing with other humans. And the way I like to say it is, when we surf, we're playing with Mother Nature. And when we do jiu-jitsu, we're playing with human nature. And we're going to get to know each other a lot better.
Yes, we will.
Having that exchange of energy in that wrestling match, I'm going to know a lot more about how you think and feel.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 18 years. So almost as soon as somebody grabs onto me, I'm like, ooh, this guy's a perfectionist. Or this one's introverted. Or, this one is maybe overthinker. You can feel that from the way somebody wrestles.
It's so wild.
It's wild.
It's a language.
Yeah. It's expression. Jiu-jitsu is
no
art.
Words.
It's art. It's a self-expression.
Yeah.
And we're just expressing ourselves in a way that leads to somebody else saying, hey, please stop.
Yeah.
It's a game of chess with your body, your awareness, your cunning, all those different things mixed into one, human and human, and just interchanging those things in a playful way. Nobody's on the mats fighting for their lives. It's like, you tap me, we slap hands and hug, and we try again. That's it. Yeah, homies. Struggle cuddles.
Oh, I wanted to emphasize something you said, and then we can wrap up. 2 minutes?
Sure.
Is that
yes,
fine?
Of course. Yes.
You said it so well in relation to jiu-jitsu and all of life, that as we go through life, we have to hold in mind an intention for the vision of the future that we want to have, whether that's making somebody tap out, submitting, or financial freedom, having some land on a gorgeous hill and a coffee shop, whatever it is. We have to have the vision and the intention that we hold in mind, while also surrendering to the infinite potentialities of how it will unfold. That is such a beautiful articulation of how jiu-jitsu is and how life is. And that's such a fine line. And that's really the fine line that once we can dance across that fine line every moment of our lives, that the magic really starts to pour in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's letting go, what you said, surrendering. Surrendering to that infinite amount of possibilities, but not surrendering in your devotion to your final point, your destination, or that can even change, but there is a vision at the
Isn't
end.
it? Yeah.
I got stuck in a groove of my life for a long time where it was just thinking that I was living freely, but I was just living day to day. It was like adrift. It was like an adrift feeling, and that's not the way this team works, I feel like spreading the word and doing what you're doing is shaking people up from a dream and finding whatever that point may be for themselves. I hope it's more and more of people that want to spread positivity and oneness and love.
Yeah.
Jinx.
I pray that this helps people see the dot.
Yeah, man. I pray with you.
Oh, amen, brother.
Amen.
This was so special.
Thank you, bro.
Can I link your Instagram?
Yes, of course.
And we'll put it in the show notes. That is a wrap. Amen.
Love you.
Love you too, brother.